It's holding the lamp up. I love the way the light shines in sometimes and makes a special effect on the camera. So that's why we choose at different times to use that effect, even though you can't see me. It's kind of neat to think of it as God shining on us and revealing to us His Word, even as He does in our hearts, as He reveals it to our eyes and causes us to hear with our ears the things that the Spirit might say to us. His left hand is under my head, and His right hand doth embrace me. Underneath are the everlasting arms. When Peter saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth His hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, why did you doubt? The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with His hand. The beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by Him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and He shall dwell between His shoulders. Casting all your care upon Him, for He cares for you, he that touches you touches the apple of His eye. They shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all. I have learned in the life that I've lived, in the years that I've experienced the goodness of God in the land of the living, that by His grace I've been saved, and by His grace He's kept me from falling, and that though I have stumbled and walked away and run at times far from Him, He's always been with me, and wherever I went, whether it be in righteousness or in sin, God has always been there to bring me back again to the place of love, to understand Him and know Him in a personal and intimate way, to relate to Him as He chooses to unveil the reality of this commitment that He has made to me, and His promises that He has made that He will fulfill, that has nothing to do with my faith in Him or my faith for Him, because it's by His grace that He saved me. I could not have done any of this by myself, for I was ready to die, and much of my physical body had perished. But God had delivered me from that life of sin, as well as from the end of my physical being. And so by Him I move, and in Him I have my being, and through Him I have my spirit alive unto the things that God says, the things that God does, and the way that He moves in my life, because without Him I would cease to exist. And whether you know that not personally, or whether you know it physically, or whether you know it emotionally, God is with you. God is going to bring you unto that day of salvation, when you shall see Jesus face to face. So if you called upon Him to be saved, if you know Him intimately as a personal Lord and Savior, then you'll realize that you can't be destroyed though your body perish, and though you may close your eyes in death in some way, whether tragic, supposedly, or whether immediate, purportedly, or whether by rapture, or whether by the circumstances of a death that has happened according to the will of God. Nothing has happened to you except that God allow it in your life, because He's taking care of you. He's taking for you all the consequences of the actions that you've done, even though you may suffer seemingly in this life the fruit of your own labor. God will take upon Himself, by His stripes your healing, by His death your salvation, and by His Spirit your joy, peace, and love that you could experience today, if you just leave it in His hands and let Him lead you all the way home till you finally arrive at the place that you know you've never been, but God has said, I prepared for you. May it be that today we find that excitement and that joy in going forward, whether we feel like it or not, whether we experience the greatness of His salvation or not at this moment. We have that realization that whether we feel like it or not, God has saved us all the way unto the end of the age, even into eternity.